The memory still makes my blood boil. I was 17, just 2 months shy of my 18th birthday, when my parents sold my entire future for less than the price of a used iPhone. "Michael, don't be dramatic," my mother had said, waving the check in front of me. $1,000 is very generous for something that doesn't even exist yet. But SecureShare did exist. I'd spent 2 years developing the security algorithm, countless nights coding while my classmates were out partying. I had the prototype, the business plan, even interest from angel investors. What I didn't have, thanks to being a minor, was legal control over my own intellectual property. "You should be thanking us," my father added, his voice carrying that familiar tone of condescension. "Marcus Wayne is doing you a favor, offering real money for this hobby of yours. Now you can focus on real career opportunities." Marcus Wayne. Even now, 5 years later, the name makes me want to punch something. He'd known exactly what he was doing when he approached my parents instead of me. He'd seen the potential in SecureShare's revolutionary encryption system, recognized that it could transform digital communications, and he'd known that my parents, with their complete lack of tech understanding, would see it as nothing more than their son's time-wasting computer game. "It's time to be practical," my mother had continued, already mentally spending the $1,000. "Law school applications are expensive, and this will help with the fees." Law school. That was their dream, not mine. They'd had my future mapped out since before I could walk. Prestigious law school, corporate law career, country club membership. The perfect life for the perfect son. Instead, I watched helplessly as they signed away my rights to SecureShare Technologies, the company I built in my bedroom between homework assignments. The company that, according to my latest market research, should have been worth at least 7 figures even in its early stages. That night, I lay in bed staring at my ceiling, hot tears of rage sliding down my temples. On my desk, my laptop still displayed the SecureShare code, thousands of lines representing countless hours of work now legally belonging to Marcus Wayne. But they'd made one crucial mistake. The algorithm they'd bought, the one detailed in the official documentation, it was only part of the story. The real innovation, the breakthrough that made SecureShare special, existed only in my head and in an encrypted file hidden on a server where no one would think to look. I didn't sleep that night. Instead, I planned. The next morning, I went through the motions of my daily routine. I ate breakfast with my parents, nodding as they talked about law school applications and their dreams for my future. I went to school, sat through my classes, pretended everything was normal. But as soon as I got home, I began implementing phase 1 of what I would later call Operation Phoenix. First, I emptied my college fund, the one I built working summer jobs and doing freelance coding. It wasn't much, just $12,000, but it was a start. My parents would be furious when they found out, but I didn't care. They'd lost the right to an opinion about my money when they sold my company without my consent. Next, I reached out to Samantha Chen, my best friend and the only person who truly understood what SecureShare could become. Sam was 18, legally an adult, and more importantly, she was brilliant at business development. "They did what?" she exclaimed when I told her what had happened. We were sitting in our usual booth at Cyber Cafe, the local coffee shop where we'd spent countless hours coding and dreaming about our future tech empire. "Sold it, for $1,000. My voice was flat as I stirred my untouched coffee. "To Marcus Wayne. That snake," Sam spat. She'd met Marcus at a tech conference last year and had instantly disliked him. "He knew exactly what he was doing, didn't he?" I nodded. "But he doesn't have everything. The core algorithm, the part that makes it all work, it's still mine. And I have a plan." Sam leaned forward, her dark eyes sparkling with interest. "I'm listening." Over the next hour, I laid out my strategy. We would start a new company, officially owned by Sam since she was legally an adult. We would develop a new encryption system, one that would make SecureShare's published algorithm look like child's play. "But won't Wayne sue when he realizes what we're doing?" Sam asked. I smiled for the first time since the sale. "He can try. But the algorithm he bought, it's essentially useless without the core components I kept back. By the time he figures that out, we'll have already established ourselves in the market." "You sneaky genius," Sam grinned. "Count me in. But we'll need more than just your college fund." She was right. We needed real investment, but we had to be careful. If word got back to Wayne about what we were doing, he'd shut us down before we could begin. That's when I remembered Dr. Sarah Martinez, my computer science teacher. She'd been the first person to recognize the potential in my work, and more importantly, she had connections in the tech industry. The next day after class, I stayed behind to talk to her. I heard about the sale, she said before I could speak. Your parents had no idea what they were giving away, did they? I shook my head. But that's not the end of the story. I need your help, Dr. Martinez. She listened carefully as I explained my plan, occasionally nodding or asking sharp questions. When I finished, she was quiet for a long moment. What you're proposing is risky, she finally said. If Wayne realizes what you're doing, he won't. Not until it's too late. She studied me for a moment longer, then opened her desk drawer and pulled out a business card. Elena Rodriguez. She's an angel investor who specializes in tech startups. More importantly, she hates Marcus Wayne almost as much as you do. Tell her I sent you. That meeting changed everything. Elena didn't just understand our vision. She shared our determination to beat Wayne at his own game. 3 weeks later, Shadow Securities was born, with Sam as CEO and me as the anonymous lead developer. We work out of Sam's garage, living on energy drinks and determination. By day, I pretended to research law schools to keep my parents happy. By night, I rebuilt my encryption system from the ground up, making it even better than before. The irony? Marcus Wayne was struggling. Without the core algorithm, SecureShare was just another mediocre security app. His developers couldn't replicate the magic that had made my prototype special, and potential clients were losing interest. Meanwhile, Shadow Securities was gaining momentum. Our beta test results were extraordinary. Elena's connections helped us secure meetings with major tech companies. Venture capitalists were starting to notice. Then came the article that changed everything. Tech's next big thing. The headline read, Shadow Securities' revolutionary encryption could reshape digital privacy. I was in the kitchen with my parents when my father saw it. He was scrolling through news on his tablet while eating breakfast, something about the article catching his eye. Look at this, he said to my mother. Some companies developed an encryption system that sounds just like Michael's little project. See, he'd stuck with it instead of selling. I kept my face carefully neutral as I gathered my things for school. Let them think about what they'd thrown away. Soon enough, they'd understand exactly what their $1,000 had cost them. Because in 3 days, Shadow Securities would go public, and I would finally step out of the shadows, revealing myself as the true genius behind both companies. Marcus Wayne had no idea what was coming. Neither did my parents, but they were about to find out. The day before our big announcement, I sat in my bedroom looking at an old photo. In it, 15-year-old me was hunched over a laptop, working on the first version of SecureShare. I'd been so young, so naive, believing that my parents would understand, would support my dreams. Their betrayal had taught me an important lesson. Sometimes the people who should believe in you the most are the ones who understand you the least. But tomorrow, everything would change. Tomorrow, I would walk into the offices of what used to be my company, not as the teenager whose dreams were sold for pocket change, but as the controlling shareholder and new CEO of the corporation that had just acquired SecureShare Technologies. Marcus Wayne's face would be priceless, and my parents? They were about to learn that their silly app was now worth millions. I carefully placed the photo in my briefcase next to the acquisition papers. In less than 24 hours, the tech world would know my name, and my parents would realize exactly what they'd thrown away. The morning of the announcement, I dressed carefully in a tailored suit that cost more than what my parents had sold my company for. Gone were the hoodies and jeans of my coding days. Today, I needed to look like what I had become, the CEO of a multimillion-dollar tech company. My mother was in the kitchen when I came downstairs, sorting through law school brochures she'd been collecting for me. Michael, honey, don't forget you have that Harvard Law alumni interview next week. And what are you wearing? That suit looks expensive. I have a meeting, I said simply, adjusting my tie, and I won't be making that interview. She looked up, frowning. What do you mean? This is your future we're talking about. No, Mom, it's the future you and Dad wanted for me. My real future is something entirely different. Before she could respond, my phone buzzed. A text from Sam. Everything's ready. The press is already gathering. I grabbed my briefcase, ignoring my mother's confused protests. Watch the business news today, I told her as I headed for the door. You might find it interesting. The drive to SecureShare's headquarters felt surreal. The last time I'd been here was 2 years ago, watching Marcus Wayne unveil his revolutionary security system, my system, stripped down and barely functional without its core components. Now, as I pulled into the executive parking spot with my name on it, I couldn't help but smile. The security guard did a double take as he read my newly issued ID badge. Mr. Harrison, but you're the new CEO, yes. I enjoyed the look of shock on his face. The press announcement is in an hour. You might want to alert Mr. Wayne that I'm here. The lobby was buzzing with activity. Reporters were setting up cameras, tech bloggers hunched over laptops, all waiting for the big announcement. Nobody paid attention to me as I walked through. They were expecting Marcus Wayne to make today's presentation. I took the executive elevator to the top floor, Sam meeting me as I stepped out. Ready for this? She asked, her eyes sparkling with excitement. Been ready for 5 years, I replied. Marcus Wayne's secretary, my secretary now, looked up in confusion as we approached his office. I'm sorry, you can't go in there. Mr. Wayne is preparing for an important announcement. I handed her the acquisition papers. Yes, about that announcement, there's been a slight change of plans. We walked into Wayne's office without knocking. He was standing at his window, practicing what looked like an acceptance speech. His face darkened when he saw us. What is this? How did you get in here? Hello, Marcus, I said calmly. Remember me? The kid whose silly app you bought for $1,000? He straightened, trying to maintain his authority. Security. They won't come, Sam said, smiling. They answer to the new CEO now. New? What are you talking about? I placed my briefcase on his desk, my desk now, and pulled out a thick folder. Shadow Securities completed its acquisition of SecureShare Technologies this morning. The board approved it unanimously. Apparently, they were tired of watching the company flounder with incomplete technology. Wayne's face went pale as he read the papers. This is impossible. Shadow Securities, they're the ones who, his eyes widened as realization dawned. You're behind Shadow Securities. Technically, Sam is the CEO. I nodded toward her. At least she was until today. Now she's taking over as COO of our merged companies, and I'm stepping in as CEO. But the encryption system we bought from your parents was worthless without its core components. I finished for him. Components that now belong to Shadow Securities. Or should I say belonged? Since we now own SecureShare, we own everything. He slumped into his chair, my chair. You planned this. All of it. You taught me an important lesson, Marcus. Never underestimate someone just because they're young. Now, shall we head down to the press conference? I believe they're expecting an announcement. The press conference was everything I dreamed of. Cameras flashed as I took the podium, reporters murmuring in surprise at seeing a 22-year-old instead of Marcus Wayne. Ladies and gentlemen, I began. 5 years ago, SecureShare Technologies acquired a promising encryption system from a young developer. Today, that developer is acquiring SecureShare. The room erupted in questions. I saw realization dawn on some of the tech reporters' faces. They'd covered both the original SecureShare story and Shadow Security's rise. Mr. Harrison, are you saying you're the original creator of SecureShare's technology? Yes, I replied. The same technology that, in its complete form, has made Shadow Securities the fastest-growing cybersecurity company in the industry. More questions flew. How did you build Shadow Securities? What happens to Marcus Wayne? What are your plans for the merged companies? I answered them all calmly, professionally, watching the story spread in real time on social media. Somewhere, I knew my parents were seeing this too. Right on cue, my phone buzzed with texts from both of them. Mom, Michael, what's happening? You're on CNBC. Dad, son, call us immediately. What is this about SecureShare? I ignored them. They'd have their answers soon enough. After the press conference, I went to my new office, the same one where I'd watched my parents sign away my dreams for $1,000. The view of the city was exactly as I remembered. Sam joined me, carrying 2 glasses of champagne. Congratulations, CEO Harrison. How does revenge taste? I took a glass, considering her question. Actually, this isn't about revenge anymore. It's about proving something, to myself, to them, to everyone who ever dismissed a young person's dreams as just a silly app. My phone buzzed again. My parents had arrived in the lobby. I'd instructed security to let them up. "Want me to stay for this?" Sam asked. I shook my head. "No, this is something I need to do alone." They entered cautiously, looking out of place in the executive suite. My mother's eyes were red. She'd been crying. My father looked like he'd aged 10 years since breakfast. "Michael," he began, "we had no idea." "No," I cut him off. "He didn't. Because you never bothered to understand what I was building. You were too busy planning the future you wanted for me to see the future I was creating for myself." "We thought we were doing what was best for you," my mother whispered. "Best for me?" I laughed softly. "You sold my company, my future, for less than you spent on my prom suit. Do you know what SecureShare is worth now, with Shadow Security's technology reintegrated?" They shook their heads. $800 million. That's what I paid to buy it back. The company you sold for $1,000 is now worth nearly $1 billion. My father sank into one of the visitor chairs. "Son, we're so sorry. I'm not telling you this to make you feel bad," I said, surprising myself by meaning it. "I'm telling you because I want you to understand something. Success doesn't always look the way you expect it to. Sometimes it looks like a teenager coding in his bedroom at midnight. Sometimes it looks like a silly app. Can you ever forgive us?" my mother asked. I walked to the window, looking out at the city where I'd rebuilt my dreams from scratch. "I forgave you a long time ago. When I was building Shadow Securities, I realized something. If you hadn't sold SecureShare, I might never have learned how to fight for what I believed in. I might never have become who I am today." "And who is that?" my father asked quietly. I turned back to them, smiling slightly. "Someone who knows exactly what his dreams are worth." In the months that followed, SecureShare Shadow's value doubled. The complete encryption system, finally reunited, revolutionized digital security just as I'd always known it would. My parents? They finally stopped sending me law school brochures. Instead, they framed the magazine covers featuring their son, the tech prodigy who bought back his own company. Marcus Wayne? He retired to a small island somewhere, probably regretting the day he thought he could steal a teenager's dreams for $1,000. And me. I kept that $1,000 check, framed it and hung it in my office, not as a reminder of betrayal, but as proof that sometimes the best revenge isn't getting even, it's getting ahead. The silly app that my parents sold for $1,000 now protects data for companies worldwide. But more importantly, it stands as a testament to every young dreamer who's ever been told their ideas don't matter. Because sometimes those silly ideas are worth millions. You just have to believe in them enough to fight for them, even if you have to buy them back yourself.